Hi guys, Ian here, and this is the OneOdio Monitor 80, a surprisingly affordable open-back studio headphone that punches well above its price point. And these retail for $130 depending on where you get it, but if you were to get it directly from OneOdio, you will get it at $130 US. And if you apply the discount code that is listed in the description of this video, you get an additional 20% off. So do check out the unaffiliated link down in the description below. And despite its low price, these have some pretty serious specs. The headphone comes with a 40mm dynamic driver, the impedance is 250 ohms, and a frequency range from 10 Hz all the way to 40,000 Hz. And they are marketed for studio monitoring, mastering, mixing, editing, and yes, for everyday listening too. Alright, so I've been using this for 2 weeks now, so let's begin my review of these Monitor 80s. First, let's begin with the accessories. This is the huge and generous retail box that it comes in. And it's got some specifications. Let me go through that again. So as I mentioned, impedance is 250 ohms, sensitivity is 94 dB, frequency range is 10 Hz all the way to 40,000 Hz, and the driver is a 40mm dynamic driver, open back. Alright, now inside the retail box you will get a whole bunch of stuff. Well, the paperwork, of course, and then you get two types of cable. One is a 3.5 to 1/4 inch adapter, a 1/4 inch headphone jack, and it's a coiled cable. And when it's relaxed, it's about 1.5 meters. When it's stretched out, you get a 3-meter long cable, which is very, very long. And the other cable that you get is a 3-meter long 3.5 to 3.5 headphone jack cable. And overall, I would say the cables are very well built, and also you get this hard shell carrying case for the safe storage of your headphone when you're transporting it from point A to point B, which is a very, very good carrying case. And with all this, I would say it's a very generous accessory package for a headphone at this price point, especially the dual cables and the hard shell case. Alright, so let's talk about the design and build quality of this Monitor 80. And the design of this leans heavily into functionality and comfort rather than luxury. The construction is mostly plastic, and it doesn't feel premium. And there's some cracking or creaking around the ear cups hinges when I swivel them. But that said, I would find that the build to be surprisingly resilient for my daily use. I wasn't really gentle with this, and they do hold up fine. On the back of the ear cups, there's a metallic looking ring which adds a little visual weight, but is still largely lightweight. The open back grille is well executed. While I wouldn't call the build luxurious, it's practical, and I appreciate that OneOdio didn't skip on essentials like swivel cups and strong cable connection. Alright, now let's talk about the fit and comfort for these headphones. These are very comfortable to use for extended listening sessions. The velour pads are plush and breathable, and after 2 hours of listening or editing on my laptop, I didn't feel much fatigue. And this is really, really good all day long use with no fatigue. The headband provides a good clamping force without being too tight, and adjustability is very smooth. Because of the open back design, I didn't feel any overheating or any hot spots on my ears, even during long mixes on my DJX or when listening to my music. The case is bulky, but having this helps to protect the headphone as you use it or transport it. Basically, these headphones are mainly used for indoor rather than moving around and commuting with these headphones. Alright, so now let's talk about the sound of these headphones. First, let's talk about the technical performance of these headphones. Now, in terms of soundstage and imaging, for an open back headphone at this price point, the soundstage is surprisingly good. The Monitor 80 offers a wide and deep soundstage. During my 2 weeks of use, I felt a reasonable sound separation of the instruments and vocals. While it's not holographic type of soundstage, it's quite natural and the soundstage does not sound squashed in. In terms of imaging, positioning cues are clear. Left to right panning is well defined, though some sounds feel a touch more summed in rather than floating in space. And the layering is pretty decent but not ultra exaggerated. Now, in terms of detail retrieval and resolution, these headphones resolve a lot of details, especially considering the price point. On quieter tracks, I notice subtle reverbs, chair squeaks on orchestra tracks, and mic bleeds when listening to multi-track recordings or doing my editings. My mid-range vocals were well separated and I could pick up on nuances. I would say the detail retrieval and clarity is really modest at this price point. That said, to really unlock this headphone's potential, you need a pretty decent amp. At 250 ohms, they don't perform at their best when driven from a low-powered source. Now, as for the tone and timbre, the overall tonal balance is a little bit U-shaped, but it's not in an extreme fun or V-shaped way. It's more of a studio-friendly lift. There's a controlled but punchy low end, a natural mids, and a slightly brighter top end. This tuning gives them energy without making them sound fatiguing, though they are not dead neutral, being said. Compared to something like my HD 600, the 80 feels a little bit more open, a bit more spacious, with bass that feels looser and a little bit more extended. Alright, so let's talk about the sound signature of these headphones. First, for the sub bass, there's a respectable depth in terms of the sub bass. It's not a huge rumble. Presence of the rumble is there, but it doesn't dominate the entire listening session. In terms of the mid bass, it's a little bit more pronounced than the sub bass. It's punchy, it's warm, and is well controlled. It doesn't bleed into the mids too much, which is pretty impressive for a U-shaped tuning. As for the mids, the lower mids are warm and full. Upper mids a little bit more forward. The vocals will feel somewhat natural and a bit layered. And I find that the mids are cleaner and clearer and crisper as compared to my HD 600. In terms of the pinna gain, there's a gentle presence in the sweet spot region, giving a slight clarity to the vocals and instruments, but it's not harsh and it's not fatiguing as well. So it's just nice in terms of the pinna gain for the vocals and instruments. As for the treble extension is pretty good. There's sparkle and energy up on top, though some may find it a little too bright or sibilant on certain recordings. And I would say the treble focused vocals would lose some contour at the higher frequencies. Alright, so that's the overall sound signature of this Monitor 80. Let's compare this with my HD 600. I would say the 80 is a little bit more transparent, a little bit more airy, a little bit less boxed in. And the Monitor 80 has its bass impact compared to the HD 600. It's a little bit more firm at the lower end, and I would say the bass on the 80 is a bit more pronounced as compared to the HD 600. Okay, so let's conclude. After 2 weeks with this Monitor 80, I can confidently say that this is one of the best value open back headphones out there. They are not perfect, the build isn't premium, the hinges creak a little, and you want an amp to really drive them properly. But for $133, the technical performance, the comfort, the accessories bundle, and the sound tuning of this headphone are outstanding. If you're a budding music producer or a casual mixer, or someone just wants to have that airy open back sound on a budget, the Monitor 80 is a smart choice. They may not rival flagship studio headphones, but they do deliver a solid foundation. And for the price, that's more than enough to impress me. Alright, so that's my overall thoughts and opinions about this OneOdio Monitor 80. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and also please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. My name is Ian. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in my next video. Cheers.